I never imagined how fragile trust could be until I saw her standing beside him. My name is Mark Larson, and I spent the first 12 years of my marriage believing my wife, Erin, and I had built something lasting, 2 beautiful kids, a warm home in suburban Illinois, partners in every sense. I'm 40 now, a project manager at a mid-sized tech firm. Erin and I met in college, married right after graduation, and raised our daughter, Lily, now 8, and our son, Noah, 5, on late-night storytimes and Saturday pancakes. It all began in January when our office hired someone new, Alex Moore, 32, charismatic and sharp in sales strategy. Erin, who leads client success, started collaborating with him on a key account. At first, it was ordinary, shared jokes over Slack, quick coffee runs at break time. But soon Erin's texts shifted from, "How's your day?" to a string of winking emojis. She'd come home smiling in a way she hadn't since our honeymoon. I noticed little things, her favorite lipstick on a coffee mug, the scent of his cologne in her hair, stray glances at her phone lighting up with his name. One evening I came home early, supposedly for a surprise birthday cake for Lily, only to find the house empty. The front door was locked, Erin's car was gone. I called her cell, expecting, running late at the office, but it went straight to voicemail. A knot tightened in my chest. I checked our shared calendar, team dinner, at 7 p.m. Only Erin had never mentioned a dinner. I swallowed my unease and waited. When she finally walked in at 9:30, cheeks flushed and hair slightly tousled, she said, "Sorry, late meeting, we finished the presentation." Her voice was steady, but guilt flickered in her eyes. I offered the cake, but Erin barely touched a slice. She shrugged off my concern with a kiss and headed to bed. I lay awake that night, replaying every detail. The next morning, I slipped my phone into Erin's coat pocket and discreetly installed a tracking app on her tablet. I set up a tiny camera in the corner of our hallway, disguised as a motion sensor light. By late afternoon, the GPS pinged an address not far from our kids' school, an apartment complex with no offices in sight. At 8 p.m., the camera lit up, Erin slipping out of our front door, a small bag over her shoulder, meeting Alex in his car. I watched them embrace, a quick, desperate hug in the glare of my own hallway light. My hands shook as I reviewed the footage. Those weren't the brief professional hugs you give a colleague after a tough pitch. Their bodies pressed close, their lips met. I felt the ground shift beneath me and packed my laptop, telling Erin I had to work late on a critical project. Back at my temporary office, I prepared myself. I printed screenshots of their embrace, GPS logs mapping each late-night detour, and the timestamps of her deleted text messages. I saved every file, backing them up to a secure drive. By the time Erin called, panicked, realizing I was missing, I was ready. The next morning, over a silent breakfast, I slid the printed photos across the table. Erin stared, speechless, as I laid out the GPS map and the camera clips. "I know everything," I said softly. "Our marriage was our family's foundation. You chose to break it." She tried to explain, stress at work, feeling unappreciated, but her words felt hollow. With a trembling voice, I told her to gather her things. "I loved you more than anyone ever could," I said. "But trust isn't earned with apologies. It's built with honesty." Erin left then, carrying nothing but her keys and her phone. Lily and Noah watched from the stairs, confused and frightened, and I knelt to hold them close. "Mommy's going away for a little while," I whispered. "But you and Daddy are a team. Always." That day marked the end of everything I thought I knew and the beginning of a fight to protect my children, and to find my own way forward. I filed for divorce that week, secured temporary custody, and began the long process of untangling our lives. And all the while, I promised myself, whatever came next, I would never let go of the trust one vowed to build again, brick by careful brick, for me and for my kids. Decision. The morning after Erin left, the house felt cavernous. Lily's dollhouse sat half-built on the living room rug, and Noah's toy trucks lay abandoned in a dusty line down the hallway. I couldn't face that silence. Instead, I threw on my coat, scooped up the kids, and we headed to the neighborhood park for what I called emergency pancake therapy. Between bites of chocolate chip pancakes, Lily asked, "Why is Mommy gone, Daddy?" My throat tightened. "She made a big mistake," I said gently, "but she loves you both. Right now, we're going to make new happy memories." She nodded, trusting me, and Noah squealed as I spun him in circles. Over the next days, I moved rapidly through my new routine: drop-offs at school, preschool pickup, work calls, visits with my attorney. I filed for divorce, requested temporary sole custody, and gave Aaron supervised visitation rights, 3 afternoons a week, always at Daddy's house, with me present. My lawyer, Maria Chen, walked me through every form: complaint, financial affidavits, parenting plan. She assured me, in Illinois, the court puts the children first. You've documented her betrayal, that will weigh heavily in your favor. I swallowed hard but felt a grim relief: at least the law was on my side. That first supervised visit, Erin arrived at 4 p.m., her eyes red-rimmed but determined. Lily and Noah flew into her arms, and for a moment, I saw my wife again: the warmth, the shared jokes, the mother I once knew. Erin knelt to hug them, murmuring, "I'm so sorry, sweethearts." Yet when she looked at me, I kept my expression neutral. The children begged me, "Can Mommy stay for juice?" I said, "Of course," but I stayed in the kitchen, cleaning dishes while they snacked. Through the open door, I heard Erin's voice, gentle but distant. My heart ached for my children's pain, but I reminded myself why we had these rules. Late that night, I sat at my desk, reviewing the private investigator's full report. It detailed 15 late-night meetings at Alex's apartment, receipts for expensive dinners charged to Erin's company card, and dozens of suggestive text messages time-stamped at 2 a.m. I photographed every page and backed it up to the cloud. The proof was overwhelming. "There would be no," he said, she said. At work the next week, I immersed myself in a big new project: rebranding our company's e-commerce platform. The long hours distracted me, and I found solace in deadlines and deliverables. My boss, Karen, noticed my focus and asked if I'd consider leading a cross-state launch team. I accepted, relishing the chance to rebuild my professional confidence while my personal life felt in shambles. Meanwhile, I kept the kids' world as stable as possible. Bedtime stories remained the same: "Goodnight Moon, Curious George." Saturday mornings I revived our pancake tradition. Sunday afternoons we played soccer in the backyard. I saw Lily's smile return, and Noah's giggles echoed off the fence. That was my victory: protecting their innocence and showing them that life goes on, even after heartbreak. One evening, Erin sent a handwritten letter via my lawyer. She expressed deep remorse, described sleepless nights and therapy sessions, and begged for a chance to prove herself a fit mother. But I'd learned that some doors, once closed, rarely reopen. I filed an objection: she must complete 6 months of demonstrated sobriety and parenting commitments, no missed visits, full participation in family counseling, before any expansion of her parenting time. The judge granted it. By midsummer, I'd sold Erin's company car and moved her portion of the mortgage into an escrow account. Our joint bank account was frozen. I'd set up a new checking account just for Lily and Noah's expenses. Erin worked part-time now, teaching workshops, paying spousal support in increments. Her financial cushion had evaporated. She was left with the bare essentials. That August, on the day Lily started 3rd grade, Erin came for her afternoon visit bearing a single sunflower, Lily's favorite. I watched as the flower's bright yellow petals contrasted with Erin's pale cheeks. Lily jumped into her arms, and Erin whispered, "I'm proud of you." In that moment, I felt the old ache, but I also felt steely resolve. I held the door open for them, and as they walked inside together, I reminded myself, this was the path I chose for my children's safety and stability. That night, putting the kids to bed, I whispered, "We made it through a big day." Lily yawned and hugged her sunflower, while Noah dozed clutching his fire truck nightlight. I closed their doors and stood in the hallway, memories of the wife I lost and the children I vowed to protect swirling together. I took a deep breath. The battle was far from over, but we were on solid ground, the kids were safe, their home was steady, and I was ready for whatever came next. That fall, the rhythm of our new life settled into a strange yet familiar pattern. I was both father and sole guardian, juggling drop-offs at the elementary school, after-school soccer practices, weekend pancake breakfasts, and the relentless thrum of divorce paperwork on my desk. My mornings began with Noah's sleepy voice asking, "Daddy, can we have blueberry pancakes today?" and Lily's curled arms around my waist as she tied her shoes. By 8 a.m., I was signing emails and proposals in my home office, every few minutes glancing at the clock to make sure I'd be back in time for the bus. Erin's visits remained supervised 3 afternoons a week. She arrived promptly at 4 p.m., her eyes rimmed with exhaustion and resolve. Lily and Noah would launch themselves at her, no hesitation, barefoot and laughing down the driveway. I'd stay close, a silent sentinel in the kitchen while they shared juice and goldfish crackers. From time to time I'd glance at the clock, 20 minutes left, 10, until the guard or social worker would call time and escort her away. During that period, I also began taking the kids to Dr. Vanessa Ramirez, a child psychologist specializing in family transitions. In her softly lit office, Lily spent her first session shuffling colored blocks, then carefully lining them up by height, to make sense of the world, she later explained with a shy smile. Noah, with his toy dump truck, reenacted scenes of mommy going away, pushing and crashing the vehicle into plush furniture. Dr. Ramirez watched patiently, then pulled me aside. "They're doing what children do," she said gently, acting out what they can't yet talk about. She taught us simple rituals, circle of assurance, before bedtime, sharing one good thing that happened that day, to help rebuild trust and security. Meanwhile, my attorney, Maria Chen, moved quickly through the legal maze. We filed motions to secure my home, transferred joint assets into separate accounts, and structured child support that would cover Lily and Noah's tuition, activities, and therapy. Erin's lawyer contested each motion, but the documented GPS logs, the video stills, and my detailed journal of missed curfews carried the day. A temporary order awarded me primary physical custody, supervised visitation for Erin, and barred Alex from all contact, an ironclad safety net for my children. Erin responded by committing herself to therapy and parenting classes. She sent me monthly progress updates, certificates of completion, reflections on her mistakes, letters of apology addressed to my 2 precious children. One bright October afternoon I received her note in the mail, a handwritten apology in purple ink. "I am deeply sorry. I am learning every day how to put your needs first." I set it on my desk and didn't decide whether to file it away or tear it up. Instead, I let it sit until the kids asked about it. Then I told them, "Your mom is working hard to be better. She's learning, just like you learn in school." Lily nodded soberly, while Noah asked when he could see her again without a grown-up watching. I shuffled papers, uncertain how to answer. That December, we braved the awkward candor of our first co-parenting holiday. Erin brought gingerbread cookies, I supplied hot cocoa and the inflatable snowman we'd always blown up together. We decorated the tree in shifts, her with Lily, me with Noah, smiles stiff but sincere. When Lily placed the star atop the branches, Erin's voice cracked, "Merry Christmas, kids." I nodded and offered each of them a hug. It wasn't like old times, but it was something new, proof that even broken families can build fresh traditions. Spring brought the final hearing. In that courtroom, beneath the hum of fluorescent lights and shutter clicks from courtroom sketch artists, I sat with Lily fidgeting in my lap and Noah clutching my hand. Erin sat across the aisle, emerald green eyes that still could break my heart. We presented our evidence, Dr. Ramirez's report, Erin's therapy certifications, the detailed parenting plan I'd drafted with Maria's guidance. The judge listened patiently, then delivered his ruling, Erin would earn expanded unsupervised visits once she completed 6 more months of consistent therapy and parenting classes, and upon co-signed approval from Dr. Ramirez. Alex remained permanently enjoined from any contact. Outside the courthouse, the sun felt too bright. Erin met me at the steps, her expression a mixture of relief and sorrow. "Thank you," she whispered, voice thick. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Lily and Noah ran into her arms, and for that moment, I saw the mother I once knew, loving, vulnerable, still theirs. As I drove the kids home, Lily whispered from the back seat, "Daddy, do you think Mommy will get to stay longer soon?" I glanced in the rearview mirror at her hopeful face and said, "I think she's doing everything she can." That evening, as I tucked Lily and Noah into bed, I ran my fingers through their hair, feeling the soft weight of their trust. The house was quiet, no tense email pings, no furtive departures. I inhaled the scent of bedtime lotion and whispered a promise, "I'll keep protecting you both," knowing that the path ahead still held challenges, but that we'd made it this far, together, stronger, and with a clearer vision of what truly mattered. That winter felt like crossing a frozen lake, each step felt perilous, but beyond the ice lay firm ground. After the final custody hearing, I returned to our silent home with Lily curled against me on the couch and Noah asleep under his favorite fire truck blanket. My relief at securing their safety was tempered by the knowledge that Erin, my wife of 12 years, had lost nearly everything. Her company car was gone, our joint accounts liquidated, and her reputation at work in tatters. Yet she'd agreed to every condition: parenting classes, weekly therapy, supervised visits. I was determined to enforce the court's orders fairly, because these rules weren't punishment for her alone, they were guarantees that our children would remain secure. Morning routine settled into a new rhythm. I dropped Lily at the elementary school by 7:45, kissed her quick on the forehead, then hustled Noah to preschool. By 8:30, I was in my home office, logging in to lead our marketing team's virtual meeting. Between screen shares I scribbled notes, confirm childcare reimbursement, follow up with Maria on asset transfer, schedule next joint session with therapist. Work tasks grounded me, even as my heart ached behind every meeting invite. Erin's supervised visits happened Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6 o'clock. Our mediator, Jenna, arrived promptly at 3:55, clipboard in hand and calm smile on her face. Erin pulled into the driveway in a borrowed sedan, carrying a covered dish of homemade mac and cheese, Lily's favorite. The kids sprinted out to greet her, and for a breathless moment, I saw the mother who had once filled our home with laughter and light. Then I excused myself to let them have their time, and retreated to my study, doors open just enough to hear their voices. Inside, I tackled the details of our asset division. Erin's lawyer had fought for a more generous settlement, but my documentation was airtight: a ledger of shared bills, a log of my separate checking account for child-only expenses, a signed acknowledgement of property lines. Under Maria's guidance, I negotiated a final agreement that left Erin with a modest apartment near her parents, a timeline to buy out her share of the house if she could secure a loan, and clear responsibilities for tuition and medical costs. In the back of my mind, I worried that Erin would struggle to rebuild, but I reminded myself that she had the same legal right to start over. Meanwhile, I arranged joint sessions with Dr. Vanessa Ramirez, not the children's therapist, but a couples and co-parenting counselor. We met in her warmly lit office once a month, across from a fireplace, exchanging glances that carried years of love and betrayal. Erin spoke of her remorse, the loneliness she'd felt at work, the thrill that blinded her to the damage she was causing. I listened, sometimes holding back tears, sometimes feeling anger flare up. Dr. Ramirez guided us through exercises in accountability and boundaries. Erin would write letters to the kids explaining her mistakes in age-appropriate language. I would practice non-judgmental listening, not for her sake, but for Lily and Noah's emotional recovery. Those letters arrived in sealed envelopes addressed in Erin's careful handwriting. I held Lily's close, then read it aloud in the kitchen. "Dear Lily, I'm sorry I hurt you when I chose someone else over our family. I miss your smile every day and promise to prove I can be the mom you deserve. Lily's bright blue eyes brimmed as I folded the letter. "Do you think she means it, Dad?" I swallowed. "I believe she wants to," I said softly. She nodded and tucked the letter into her backpack like a treasure. Spring approached, and the mediator reported that Erin had completed her 12-week parenting course with perfect attendance. Her visits were extended, one Saturday morning each month unsupervised, provided Jenna's feedback was positive. At her first Saturday visit, Erin arrived early with branches of blooming dogwood and home-baked muffins. Inside, the kids and I set up a picnic blanket in the living room. Erin taught Lily how to press the blossoms between pages of an old book, and Noah practiced counting petals. I observed from the sidelines, my heart brimming. She was learning gentleness again, and my children were bravely opening their hearts. At night, after the kids were asleep, I'd linger by our family photo wall. There were 2 faded wedding pictures, holiday snapshots, homemade drawings by Lily and Noah. Between them hung Erin's letter to Lily, framed under glass. I touched the frame, thinking of how our family had fractured and remade itself. Divorce had stripped us bare, but it also forced us to rebuild with intention, co-parenting, patience, honest transparency. By June, the final judgment came through. Erin would have expanded unsupervised visits, 2 afternoons every week and every other weekend afternoon, conditional upon continued therapy. Alex was permanently barred from any contact. The judge's clerk delivered the ruling in a whisper, as if afraid to disturb our fragile new balance. That afternoon, Erin arrived for her first expanded visit. She brought pastel chalks, and we took the kids to the cul-de-sac for sidewalk art. Lily sketched rainbows, Noah drew a truck that looked just like mine, and Erin knelt beside them, encouraging every stroke. I watched from the porch, coffee in hand, feeling a cautious optimism unfurl in my chest. Later, as the sun dipped low, Erin waved goodbye at the end of the drive. Lily called, "Love you, Mom," and Erin turned, tears glinting. I held Lily close, whispering, "We're okay." She nodded and ran inside to grab her chalk. That night, alone in my study, I opened a fresh document titled, "Our New Family Plan." Bullet points: maintain secure boundaries, support Erin's therapy, keep children's routines steady, build new traditions on honesty. I saved it, closed my laptop, and looked around the home that had weathered so much. We were not the family we once were, but we were a family still, changed, wiser, and determined to grow forward on the solid ground beneath the ice. That summer stretched out like a promise, warm breezes, late evenings, the smell of freshly cut grass wafting through our open windows. In the year since Erin's betrayal, our lives had transformed in ways I never could have imagined. When school let out for the last day of 2nd grade, Lily bounded off the bus with her arms full of handmade cards from friends, "Best big sister ever," and "Thanks for helping me in class." Noah, clutching a signed T-ball, wore that triumphant grin he only reserved for his proudest moments. I hugged them both as tightly as I could manage, breathing in the heady scent of summer and freedom. That afternoon, I sat with my children on our front porch swing, planning our summer adventures. "Beach trip next weekend?" I suggested. "Yes." Lily cheered. "Maybe rock climbing camp?" Noah added, eyes bright. They turned to me expectantly, and, for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at ease in the shoes of the father I'd vowed to be. A few weeks earlier, I'd met someone new, Claire Barnes, a marketing coordinator on the project I'd headed up after the divorce. She'd lost her husband in a car accident 2 years before, and we bonded over tales of single parenthood and late-night client calls. Our first coffee date had been tentative, 2 people guarded by past pain. Yet within days, we found ourselves sharing stories of our children over takeout pizza and imagining a future that looked, if not perfect, at least brighter than our pasts. On that first full Saturday in June, Claire joined us for pancakes and Pop-Tarts, a ritual Lily demanded each weekend. She sat at the kitchen table, playing "I Spy" with Noah, making him giggle as he knocked over his syrup glass. I caught Claire's eye and saw warmth, acceptance, and the sense that life's second acts could indeed be joyful. When Erin dropped by for her expanded visit, Saturday afternoons now, 2 hours at a time, no supervision, I found myself surprised at how natural it felt. She arrived with fresh strawberry jam and a homemade frittata, careful not to disrupt our tempo. Lily greeted her with a hug so genuine it stopped my heart. Noah bounded into her arms, squealing. They spent the afternoon sharing ice cream sundaes on the back patio, and I wandered inside, baking bread for our dinner. That evening, after the kids were tucked in, Erin and I sat at opposite ends of the kitchen island. "Thank you, Mark," she said quietly. "Thank you for letting me back in their lives." I nodded, stirring dog-ear bread dough. "You've earned it," I replied. "They know who you are." We stood in comfortable silence, two former spouses bound by shared love for our children. In July, we embarked on our first, co-parent camping trip. Erin and I, Claire and my 2 kids, squeezed into 2 tents on the shaded bank of a quiet lake. We roasted marshmallows over a campfire, told ghost stories, child-friendly variety, and watched shooting stars arc overhead. Lily fell asleep between Claire and me, tangled in a sleeping bag. Noah drifted off in his own tent, smile plastered after one last marshmallow. Work continued to fill my weekdays. I led a team that launched a major rebrand for our client, earning accolades from the C-suite. Behind the scenes, I'd set up a 529 account for my kids, restructured our life insurance policies to ensure their financial security, and negotiated flexible hours so I never missed Lily's theater recitals or Noah's Little League games. When school resumed in August, I walked Lily to her bus stop, the last time as a second grader, and hugged her tight. "I love you," I whispered. "I love you, Daddy," she replied, and climbed aboard. I waved until the bus turned the corner, then drove Noah to preschool, holding his hand as he bounced hesitantly into his classroom, new backpack slung over tiny shoulders. At home that afternoon, Claire surprised me with lunch on the patio, gazpacho, croissants, and strawberries. "I thought you could use a break," she said. I leaned back in my chair, soaking in the sunshine and the soft scent of honeysuckle at our fence. "I really needed this," I admitted. She reached across the table, her hand finding mine. By autumn, our blended family felt as natural as falling leaves. That first Halloween, we carved pumpkins together, Erin teaching Lily to etch a perfect jack-o'-lantern face, Claire and I helping Noah scoop out the seeds. We roamed the neighborhood in matching superhero costumes, Sophie as Batgirl, Noah as Spider-Man, and me as Pancake Man, courtesy of his own invention, and returned home with pillowcases full of candy and laughter echoing off the sidewalk. On Thanksgiving morning, while golden light broke across the dining room table, each of us wrote one thing we were grateful for on a decorative leaf. Erin's read, "Second Chances," Lily's proclaimed, "Family," Noah's scrawled, "Chocolate Pie," and Claire's simply, "Love." I added my own, "New Foundations." We taped them to the oak centerpiece, a quiet act of celebration that felt more profound than any turkey or stuffing. The final court order arrived in December, granting Erin expanded holiday visits, Christmas Eve for gift-giving, Christmas morning for breakfast, and New Year's brunch. Alex's injunction remained permanent. It was a legal formality, but also a clear boundary for our children's protection. As I look back on the journey, from the shock of betrayal to the long slog through legal battles, therapy, and self-recovery, I see now that our story didn't end in divorce. It evolved into something richer, a tapestry woven from threads of pain, forgiveness, resilience, and unexpected joy. My children learned that love can endure even the deepest cuts, and that families can be remade on new terms. Tonight, as I tuck Lily and Noah into bed, I whisper, "I love you, my brave hearts." They bury their heads into fresh pillowcases stamped with superhero logos. I turn out the lamp, slip on my coat, and step into the living room where Claire waits with 2 mugs of cocoa. We share a quiet smile and a toast, mallow-topped mugs raised. "To us," she says. "To home," I reply. And as we stand in our living room, framed by family photos faded and new, I know this is not the end of our story, but the solid beginning of everything we can still become. By the following spring, our lives had settled into a new rhythm, one far richer and more honest than anything I'd ever known. Lily was now in 3rd grade, bursting with confidence as she led her class in a Reader's Theater performance. Noah, now 6, had traded his preschool backpack for a 1st-grade satchel and couldn't wait to show me every new word he learned. And Erin, well, Erin had transformed from the woman I once barely recognized into someone I could genuinely respect again. In January, Erin moved into a small apartment just a few miles away, cozy and sunlit, with space enough for Lily and Noah to visit without tripping over boxes. She worked part-time now, offering client workshops at a local training center, and attended weekly therapy and co-parenting classes. At our monthly mediation sessions with Jenna, she arrived prepared, progress reports from Dr. Ramirez, reflections on her mistakes, and plans for how she would continue to rebuild trust. Each time I saw her, composed, earnest, and still my children's mom, I felt a cautious hope stir in my chest. Meanwhile, Claire and I grew closer. We met one another's kids for playdates. Her teenage daughter from her first marriage joined us at the park while Lily and Noah played on the swings. We shared weekend brunches with our blended group, laughing over French toast and fresh berries. One Saturday in March, I invited Claire to join us at the baseball field, where Noah hit his first home run of the season. Claire cheered louder than anyone, tears of joy in her eyes as Noah rounded third base. When he slid into home plate grubby and breathless, she scooped him up in a hug, and I knew I'd found a partner not just for me, but for my family. In April, we celebrated Lily's birthday with a garden tea party. Erin brought a tiered stand of finger sandwiches she'd baked, Claire crafted floral crowns for all the girls, and I set up tiny tables under the cherry blossoms. As Lily blew out her candles, her whole face glowing with delight, I saw all the women who loved her standing together, creating a moment of pure joy. Erin and I exchanged a grateful glance across the yard. Once, our marriage had shattered everything. Now, in the light of our children's laughter, we had managed to piece together something stronger. By late summer, I'd taken a bold step. I asked Claire to move in with me and the kids. It felt both thrilling and terrifying. Blending households is never seamless, but Claire dove in head first, helping me repaint the playroom in cheerful yellows and stocking the kitchen with Lily's favorite tea and Noah's preferred cereal. Erin, too, offered her support. She stopped by to drop off hand-me-down toys she and Lily had outgrown, and even helped supervise a sibling sleepover where everyone, Claire's daughter included, watched movies and shared popcorn under a massive homemade blanket fort. That fall, Lily played the lead in her elementary school's musical, and Claire and I sat in the front row, hands clasped, as Lily belted out her lines with stage-worthy confidence. Erin arrived afterward to congratulate her, and I watched as mother and daughter shared a private hug behind the curtain. In that moment, I saw both halves of Lily's heart, my former wife and my new partner coexisting in a single embrace, and I felt, in the deepest part of me, that this evolving family was exactly what Lily needed. Thanksgiving arrived with a full table, turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and, at Lily's insistence, Erin's famous cranberry-orange relish. Claire prepared the pumpkin pies, and my daughter helped set the table, her handwriting still a bit wobbly but determined. At the head of the table, I said grace, offering thanks for second chances, for resilience, and for the love that had carried us through betrayal into renewal. We passed dishes and shared stories of gratitude. Erin gave thanks for her children's forgiveness, Claire for the warmth of a home that welcomed her, Lily and Noah for pancake Saturdays and bedtime stories. I closed my eyes, breathless with gratitude, and whispered a silent thanks for every person who had refused to let our story end in heartbreak. By Christmas, our traditions had blossomed anew. We picked out a tree together, Erin in her knitted scarf, Claire in her art-covered apron, Lily inspecting each branch, and Noah testing which ornaments would twirl best. We strung lights and played carols on the record player, sipping hot cocoa topped with handmade marshmallows. Christmas morning, we opened stockings and exchanged gifts. Erin gifted Lily a new journal for her poems, Claire tucked a sketchbook next to my slippers. I surprised them all with tickets to a springtime trip to the zoo. We danced in our pajamas, laughter echoing beneath the wreath-adorned door. Now, as I tuck my children into bed each night, I whisper, I love you both, and I mean it with a depth forged through every trial we've endured. My path, once defined by betrayal, has led to a destination I never could have imagined, a blended family built on honesty, respect, and a willingness to start over. And as I stand in the hallway, watching Lily's peaceful breathing and Noah's gentle sighs, I know this story isn't about perfect endings. It's about ongoing love, the choice to let go of past wounds, to believe in second chances, and to keep building each new day from the unwavering foundation of family.